The Suicide Squad, a movie in which supervillains Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, and a collection of nutty cons at Belle Reve Prison join the super secret, super shady Task Force X and are dropped off at the remote, enemy-infused island of Corto Maltese. That's the synopsis for the brand new Suicide Squad movie, directed by James Gunn. And of course, we've got Margot Robbie reprising her role as Harley Quinn. We've now got Idris Elba in there as Bloodsport, John Cena in as Peacemaker, which at the time seemed like an interesting casting decision. You also got Joel Kinnaman. There's a hell of a lot of other people in there. Pete Davidson, Nathan Fillion, Flula Borg, even got Viola Davis in there. Michael Rooker was in there right at the start, and of course he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Now I watched the trailer for this a few weeks ago, all the way back when I was doing the movie film show, and it looked like a lot of fun. My one concern with this movie was always going to be the best parts were in the trailer, and the movie was going to be a bit yeah. That's what happened with the last Suicide Squad, the one back in like 2016. It looked like it was going to be a lot of fun, the trailer made it look spectacular, and ultimately it was a build up to a letdown. This Suicide Squad movie, I can say right off the bat, is a hell of a lot of fun. Possibly the most fun I've had watching a superhero movie in a long time. Superhero movie.
Can I just stop you right there for a second? When people do this, I don't really know what that means.
So my expectations going into this one were pretty low, expecting it to be similar to the 2016 Suicide Squad, a build up to a letdown. But ultimately, I found myself enthralled in a really fun movie. Superhero movies are overdone to death now. Marvel has just flooded the market with them. DC have attempted and not gone so great, and it's gone okay, not spectacular, but slowly they're gaining pace. The original Wonder Woman was pretty good, 1984 wasn't great, Aquaman was okay, Justice League was a letdown, Zack Snyder's Justice League was spectacular in my opinion, and now we've got The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn. And it seems like James Gunn is just a man who knows how to make a really fun superhero movie, a really fun comic book movie. He did it with Guardians of the Galaxy, and now he's done it with The Suicide Squad. The story is nothing spectacular, and overall, I don't think it's going to ever be considered one of the greatest movies of all time. But I think by comparison to what we've gotten in recent years from DC and superhero movies in general, comic book movies in general, this is definitely upper echelon of those movies. So you've got a star-studded cast throughout, and it seemed like a bit of a mismatch. For example, we've got John Cena in there, and he's done a lot of comedy movies, and he's been like in Fast. He's done action movies in his WWE studio days. We even looked at one of those in my search for a good WWE film starring a WWE superstar. There's a whole playlist of those right up there if you want to check that out. So I was skeptical as to whether John Cena would work in this type of movie, but he was pretty good in my opinion. In fact, he played off Idris Elba really well. Those two had a really good dynamic throughout the whole movie. Then you've got Joel Kinnaman in there, and I personally have never found a Joel Kinnaman movie I liked, mainly because he ruined RoboCop. But this movie, he's pretty damn good. The whole main Suicide Squad, because that's the whole thing in itself, when we get to the final Suicide Squad, they all have a really good chemistry, and they all really fit their characters really well. Well, there's two standout performers. Idris Elba is really good as Bloodsport, in my opinion, but Margot Robbie, for me, I think, took her Harley Quinn character to a whole new level in this movie. She was perhaps the best part of the 2016 version of Suicide Squad, but the character wasn't spectacular, wasn't nothing special. But now, after this movie, I think she's taken Harley Quinn to a whole new level. Hopefully that'll maintain when she continues to do the character, if she continues to do the character. Overall, I felt the cast had a good chemistry, it worked really well. You could tell the actors had a lot of fun making this movie. There's a lot of comedy in there, as you'd expect, and some of it's kind of stupid, some of it works because it's stupid, but there was a lot of laugh out loud moments in this movie. But on top of the laugh out loud moments, you've got extreme violence. As you can see in the Red Band trailer, there's some very, very graphic violence, a lot of blood spatter, a guy getting torn apart by a shark. There's just some spectacular violence in this movie. And it's kind of got everything it needs for a comic book movie, some ridiculous comedy, some ridiculous over-the-top violence. They fully go all in with their action. Like I said with Gunpowder and Milkshake last week, they didn't go all in with their comedy aspects or all in with their over-the-top action. Suicide Squad definitely does. They go over the top with their comedy, they go over the top with their action, they go over the top with their blood spatters, and it all just works. Mainly because it's a comic book movie and you're reminded all the way through this is a comic book movie. The movie is just over 2 hours long, and I will admit it did feel a little bit long, but overall the pacing was pretty damn strong. It does have dips in there, but overall I think the pacing was pretty damn strong and it keeps your attention all the way through. Now I don't want to spoil the movie for anyone out there who hasn't seen the movie yet. I would highly recommend checking it out, but this might be considered a spoiler coming up. So if you don't want any spoilers, click off the video now, maybe come back when you've seen the movie and let me know your opinions in the comment section below. That'll be greatly appreciated. But moving on, towards the end of the movie, we get a kaiju fight, a giant monster, although it was a starfish. The kaiju fight was very interesting because it was one of those where you're looking at the giant monster attacking a city and you've got all these small superheroes and you're just going, how are they going to beat him? Now obviously the whole rats taking over was a clear possibility, but they did seem like the odds were truly stacked against them. And when the kaiju is just destroying people left, right and center, the guy with the polka dots thing looks like he's going to be the secret weapon and he just gets crushed. It was a pretty interesting end fight. Maybe not the most amazing monster, maybe borderline Power Rangers level monster. The movie was quite interesting, kept my attention all the way through. There's some good twists and turns in there. Overall, I felt the characters were pretty strong. The Weasel guy's quite interesting. And there was a post-credit sequence to set up a possible new villain going for the next one because, you know, John Cena is still alive. Spoiler. I did give a spoiler warning already, so, you know, if you're still here and you've seen the spoiler, it's your own fault now. But as I've said many times already now, I really enjoyed this movie. It's perhaps one of the better comic book movies I've seen in a long time. When it comes down to a rating, I said just last week, we're getting tougher here on the Movie Film Show with our ratings. And it's going to take something spectacular to get an 8 or above out of 10. Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad, I should say. The Suicide Squad gets an 8 out of 10. And hopefully that'll convey just how much I like this movie. It's not one of the greatest movies of all time. It's not going to stand the test of time, and we're not going to look back on this one in 20 years' time and say, oh yeah, that's up there with The Godfather Part 2 and all these great movies. But it is a very enjoyable experience. I watched this movie at home. I think this movie would have been spectacular and possibly even would have pushed my rating up a little bit if I watched it in a movie theater. This is a movie made for theater, so if you get the opportunity, and of course if you're vaccinated and safe to do with the public, go to the cinema and see this movie because The Suicide Squad is a fantastic movie. Suicide Squad was a bit shit. Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad. They couldn't just call it like the new Suicide Squad or something. No, they had to go Suicide Squad. But I'd love to know your opinions on The Suicide Squad. Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know all about this one, where you loved it, hate it, middled it, whatever is in between. And of course, if you're new here to the Movie Film Show, I'd greatly appreciate if you hit that subscribe button for new content every single week, at least 3 times a week. With all that said and done, thank you so much for watching. That's the official synopsis for the brand new Suicide Squad. That's the synopsis for the brand new Suicide Squad. That's the synopsis for the brand new Suicide. I can't say it.